Someone asked, is it difficult to hang around others who are not awake? They asked, how do I handle other people and their egos all the time? Isn't it frustrating? Isn't it irritating? And they went on, but it was just more of that type of conversation. So let me share. No, it's not. It's not hard. It's not what you would think it is. Because what you're thinking is this separation, this division. I'm awake, they're asleep. No ego, big ego. this type of line of thinking. But it's not that at all. That really comes from the mind. That is the mind. And when we have these kind of groups of this group is superior to this group can't get along with that group, that's all mind. That happens in the mind. And it happens even on this spiritual journey. That you might have noticed it within yourself, that once you got into spirituality, once you found your spiritual path, once you got into spiritual practices, you might have noticed that you start treating kind of everyday people a little different. You might notice that you're treating them like, oh, they're less than me. They're not as good as me. I like to talk about the deep, meaningful conversations, but these other people, they're just so superficial. And it's very sneaky, but we start developing more and more pride. We become very proud of our spiritual practices. We become proud of our knowledge that we have accumulated. And we create even more of this superiority, this spiritual ego that creates even more separation and division, where we feel like, yeah, we can't hang around those people. They're just not as woke as me. This type of thinking. But that's not enlightenment. So no, that does not happen. What's happening is there's unconditional acceptance for everyone. They've unconditionally accepted everyone. In other words, you are all inclusive. You are not excluding others. And because you're all inclusive, you're including everyone as yourself, which you have unconditional acceptance for. So it's very easy to get along with others. One who's only seeing the ego in others is because they're looking through that lens of ego. They're seeing the reflection of themselves. But to see through those conditionings and to see the essence that's radiating, that's a whole different thing. Because it's like you're seeing past those conditionings. One who only sees those conditionings and then has a problem with it, they're just seeing their own reflection. They're just seeing the parts of themselves that they have not accepted. They're just meeting their own resistance and not looking within and seeing that resistance within themselves, not seeing that there's parts of them that have still been not accepted. So that's not what happened for me. Again, I'm only speaking about my experience. There's unconditional acceptance. There's all-inclusiveness. There's just seeing myself and everyone. So sure, there's still lingering patterns that arise. Obviously, that's not going to be fully diminished. That's the conditioning that still carries out. But it's the fact that there's no resistance to that conditioning. There's no rejection of that conditioning. And therefore, there's no rejection, there's no resistance to what appears as others. So there's that unconditional acceptance, there's this unconditional love. And that just sees, there's this wisdom that just sees it's just conditioning patterns. There's no one to blame. There's no one that you're holding accountable for this pattern. This is your fault. Clean up your act. There's none of that going on. So it's not hard to hang around people who are not, what they say in the question, not woke, not awake, not enlightened, not whatever it is. Right? It's not hard. In fact, it's quite the opposite of what you think. There's actually an enjoyment of it. Whereas on the spiritual path, you become like very almost against it. Like I said, like it's creating this division, this separation, you're resisting it. Whereas in complete acceptance, it just is. It just is. It is what it is. So there's just an enjoyment. There's an enjoyment for whatever it is. The petty conversations, the people talking about their problems, the small talk, the whatever it is, all the stuff that you think, chasing success, trying to get money, all these little things that you would consider to be, oh, that person's just so egoic, or that person's just so mind identified, or that person's not as evolved. There's no problem with it. There's no challenge, there's no problem, nothing's wrong. See, I'm pointing out, it shows you that it's just looking from the mind. As if you'd see, oh, it would be so difficult. How could you ever manage hanging around with a bunch of egos? How could you ever manage being around a bunch of people that are not enlightened? If it happened, it's happening all the time. It's happening all the time. I have a family. I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife. I've got all this stuff. I'm, what people would call narcissists. I'm hanging around with them every day, loving it, loving them, right? It's just, it is what it is. So there's no challenge. There's no problem. There's no challenge. There's no problem because you're not meeting it with any resistance. With unconditional acceptance, it's just this surrender. It's like it's like water just flowing over rocks. It's not actually hitting them. It's not like hitting a wall. This is my challenge. This is what I'm faced with. This is a problem. How do I resolve it? It's not. It's not. And this is where it's actually way more enjoyable. It's way more enjoyable because the mind projects this thing to say, oh, once enlightened, they're only going to want to talk about enlightenment stuff. Obviously, the way I'm talking about this, it's laughable when you realize it. They only want to talk about spirituality. It's everything is included. Everything is included. It's all good. There's not this feeling like I can't hang around these people. Like they're gonna just drive me nuts if I'm hanging around them, right? Or I can only take so much of this for a while. It's not like that. It's not like this. It's very innocent. It's very playful. It's very enjoying. It's very entertaining. It's very... See, you're seeing it all, that you've seen all of this before, but you're seeing it through like a new set of eyes. And you've got the wisdom. You're seeing through everything, past everything that was so superficial. But now it's actually shining forth is, like I said, it's the playful creativity. It's the entertainment of it all. It's the innocence of it all. It's the beauty of it all. It's the love behind it all. You're seeing past it. You're seeing past, and something else is is perceived more than everything that you're getting caught up in. Everything that you're getting caught up in. It's like before you're blind to it. So you're only able to see what you're able to see. Right? That's what I always say is you can only meet someone at the level that you've met yourself. So if you've only met yourself superficially, you haven't gone deep, 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 then you can't meet another. So you're meeting them at the level of the one, that there's only one. Right? So you're meeting yourself everywhere you go. It's only you. Why would you have a problem with that? Why would you resist that? Why would you be afraid of that? Hopefully this helps. I'll see you in the next one.